Bom dia, meu nome é Daniel, eu sou professor e consultor na Alemanha, especialista em modelo de negócios inovadores. É prazer estar com vocês. Thank you very much for being here. It's a great pleasure for me. My name is Daniel Schallmo, and I come from Germany. Today we are going to have a small talk about innovation of business models. First of all, we would like to share some ideas regarding the drivers for business model innovation. Why do we need business model innovation? Nowadays, companies face a high transparency on their products and services. So you can find easily many information regarding your product, your service, prices, delivery times, and so on. Just have a look at Google Shopping and you will find many information regarding, for example, an iPhone. Another driver is that nowadays many products and services can be copied in a very fast way. For example, here you see an example, a product of a German producer for washing machines. On the left you see the original, on the right you see the copy. Also, we face one problem, the commoditization, meaning that our products and services are commoditized, meaning that actually it's not easy to differentiate among all these competitors we have. And of course, one way we are trying to achieve or trying to escape these problems is that we have some price bubbles, meaning we are reducing our prices to sell our products. Another possibility is to give additional services. The problem here is that actually additional services are sometimes not priced. So we lose money in both ways. Either we reduce the price or we raise the services, so we haven't got a very high margin on this. And then we have shorter life cycles of products on the market. So we have less time to actually make money with this product. So we have high investments on the one side and we have less time to gain our money back. What to do knowing that all these drivers exist in markets? And maybe in your industry some drivers are more important or less important, or you have some other drivers. But in general we can say it's very hard to survive in such a very strong environment. Of course, we can develop and innovate our products even more or better. But what about if we get copied again? So today we have to actually focus on the innovation of business models, less on products and services. And here you see some examples of products that have been, or business models that have been developed. Dell, for example. Michael Dell, he founded his company in 1984 with $5,000. It was not a big company, it was a very small company, but he was a really innovative leader that was able to survive and to be strong in a very new market. eBay, for example, as a platform, Rosanna has mentioned it, platform business is getting more and more famous. We have Uber, for example, also, which also affects the taxi industry, also in Brazil, of course, also in Germany, all around the world. Or Apple. You all know Apple. Apple also has a very innovative business model because they actually have one platform. They get out of each transaction a few cents, and they also have a very innovative product that's been produced in a low-cost country. Google, of course, you find many ideas, you find many products, and you have an exchange of information in a very fast way. Let's have a look at some examples. Just imagine you're a producer of televisions and you would like to sell your televisions in India, for example. Maybe you will face the fact that you have some customers that haven't got a high purchasing power. So what do? You can sell the televisions for a lower price. Or you try to exchange your televisions, meaning you buy used televisions from people, you give them a certain discount and you sell them the new television. So what do you do with the old televisions? Actually, you can replace them. You can give them to other customers that actually don't have such a high purchasing power and will be able to buy your television. So you have two markets. On the one side, you have the new television market. On the other side, you have the used television market, and you try to combine these two markets. Another example, just imagine you would like to open a hospital in a more or less poor country. What would you do? Here's one example that you see. It's a group in India, Lifespring, which also has opened many hospitals. And they had a look at their business model in order to have a transparency regarding their cost structure. And they have been able to save lots of money and to offer services to new customer segments. Saving money means to actually apply generics, to actually apply maybe used instruments, to actually do not offer some food services, because in India many times people bring the food to their relatives into the hospital. Imagine you have to sell insurances. What can you do? It's very hard to sell insurances in a new developing country. So one example I want to share with you is Hollard. They were able to raise their customers from 0 to 600,000 in 5 years by applying the supply chain or the sales net of a clothing company. So Hollard cooperated with PEP in Africa and was able to gain many customers. If you imagine that you have a new technology and you're not able to sell it because the market is maybe not willing to pay a high price, what can you do? In 1959, one CEO of Xerox, in the former days the name was Haloid, they were producing copying machines. So they had a big problem to sell actually their copying machines because it was a new technology. What happened? The market was not ready actually to accept this new technology, because a copy machine then would cost normally $300. The new copy machine with the new technology would cost $2,000. So he was quite annoyed the market would not accept him or would not accept the new products. What he did was he offered a renting service, meaning the customers would pay $95 per month. They would have 2,000 copies including, and also the maintenance would be included. So we have to think different. It's just an example, and maybe you can apply it also in your company. Just an example how we think different, how we address the customer need and try to adjust our product, our service, our complete business model to this. Or another example. Imagine you're a producer of some engines for, say, airplanes or any kind of other engines. And what could be convenient for your customers? Now, Rolls-Royce has a concept that's called power by the hour, meaning that customers, like airlines, have to pay a certain amount per hour while they use the engine. The maintenance is included. So you see, we go away from a product, we go away from a service, and we develop and innovate our business model. One business model I would like to share with you is a very innovative coffee business model. Here you see some examples how you can actually prepare coffee. The normal powder coffee, coffee beans, coffee in a small cup actually, where you have ready-made single-use coffee, and here you see some prices. This is just an approximate price, how much coffee would cost per kilogram if you buy it in a store. And according to the amount of coffee you need to apply, you have a certain different grams, and you have certain different prices per cup for one cup of coffee. What do you think would one capsule of Nespresso cost? Here's the answer. 1 kilogram of Nespresso capsules will cost 280 reais per kilo. That's a lot. How come that Nespresso is so successful in every kind of market? Actually, they have certain change in their business model. All they need is 5 grams per cup. So they have a new technology in their machinery which supports them not to use as much coffee as needed normally. Also, you pay one round about 1.5 reais per cup. And Nespresso has managed to get a revenue of 14.4 billion reais in 2012. Actually, there are no actual figures available. What's about this Nespresso system? They have a system. It's not just to sell coffee. It's not just to sell a coffee machine. It's to sell a complete system. It's to make a product more sexy. It's to make it more interesting. And they sell a lifestyle. I was once in London in the Nespresso boutique many years ago when the system was not available so far. And I walked inside, and this guy, he just invited me to drink a coffee with him. So I drank a coffee. I wanted to pay, and they were not willing to accept my money because they said, "You're our friend, you're our guest. Come in and feel well." Then I asked him, "Why should I pay so much for one cup of coffee?" And he would say, at Starbucks you also pay $3.50, for example. So they don't compare each other with normal coffee, they compare each other with a coffee shop. So Nespresso brings the coffee shop experience to your home. Let's have a look what a business model actually is. Applying a business model, we are actually focusing on several elements and several dimensions. And a business model is nothing else than the description how a company works, how a company makes money, and how we align the processes in order to be successful, in order to create value for customers and for partners. Here you see one process that can be applied in order to develop your business model. It's actually 6 easy steps. Step number 1 is the idea generation. Think about what kind of ideas you can apply in order to develop your existing business model further. Or think about completely new ideas. The second step is to develop a vision. This vision includes also technology, which technologies to apply. It includes also customers, which customers and customer needs to actually include. And also trends, future trends that can affect your market. Step number 3 is the development of a prototype. It's nothing else than a grid I will explain to you later. And then in the 4th step we actually describe the business model in detail. So we dig deeper and try to understand how a business model should work like. Step number 5 is the implementation. We implement it in our market just to test it, just to get some experience with customers, and then to refine it and to actually scale it up in other markets. So this is the grid I was talking about. We actually have 5 dimensions. On the left, on the right, you see the customer dimension. Existing of several customers. Which customers do we actually address? Which customer channels we apply and which customer relationships do we build? You can now take a piece of paper and just scribble your own business model just to have a small idea how this can be applied for your business. Having defined the first dimension, we actually go to the next dimension right in the middle, the value dimension. Meaning, which products and services do we offer and what kind of value proposition do we achieve offering these products and services. In the third dimension, below, we have the value creation dimension. Meaning, which resources are important. What kind of resources do we need? What kind of skills are necessary in order to run the business model? And what kind of processes do we need? Is it maybe the focus on marketing, on sales, on production, on service? The fourth dimension is very important because it's a different way of thinking. We have the partner dimension because we need partners to cooperate. Business models are sometimes complex, so we have a great variety of products and services, and we need to include partners in order to be successful. So we have partners on the one side, we have partner channels, how do we communicate with channels, and we have partner relationships, how do we build a relationship to partners. And on the top, you find the finance dimension. Of course, we do this in order to gain money, in order to gain revenue. So we have on the one side the cost, which costs do actually occur in this business model, and what kind of revenue can we achieve. The idea is to have on one piece of paper high transparency regarding your actually business model. You can apply it to describe your actual business model or to develop completely new business models. Let's have an example. Remember the Nespresso case I showed you before. So here you see, for example, some customers of Nespresso. You see some customer channels like the boutique or like an application. You see some relationships because we have a contract that we actually apply by applying Nespresso. You have the products and services in the value dimension, meaning you have the machinery, you have the capsules, you have additional services, and as a value proposition you can actually state that we have, of course, fresh coffee at home and we have the coffee shop feeling at home. What kind of coffee shop feeling do you create for your customers? In the value creation dimension, we actually find resources, such as machinery to produce the coffee, to produce the capsules, skills regarding coffee know-how, and processes regarding purchasing, sales, marketing, services, and so on. In the partner dimension, what do we find there? We find actually partners that enable to run the business model. So persons who actually are specialized in building machinery, because Nespresso is not building any own machine. We also have partner relationships and partner channels. And on top, we have the revenues and the cost, as you can see. So this is a small application, a small example. You can apply it for your own business in order to understand your actual business or to develop new businesses. What is the great advantage of such an approach? The great advantage is actually that you have a higher transparency, a deep understanding of your current business. That's very important. I've worked for several years with Peter and Rosanna, and we discussed many times with companies this model, and we have seen that actually companies haven't got a real transparency how they make business. So applying this this model, you have a high transparency and you are able to have a common understanding within your team or regarding your customers or your partners. Based on your existing business model, you have two chances. You can actually have an incremental way of innovation, meaning you try to change several things. Make them better, make them cheaper maybe, being able to save cost or to run the business model on a higher quality or to create stronger relationships with customers. But you can also apply it in order to develop completely new business models, disrupting business models. Airbnb, Uber, and so on, just to name a few of them. You know, in the end, it's just the idea that we try to build strong relationships. We try not to be commoditized in our industry. We try to differentiate among competitors to be more successful and to identify time and cost reduction potential. But in the very end, it's very important to have a vision. To have a vision to create your business further, to be brave. And I learned a lot about Mr. Kubitschek, your former president, who had a vision to build this city here, to build Brasilia. And it starts with a vision. So I wish you much luck for that, and thank you very much.